So when your box comes in, you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff in it. So open it up sort of gently and take things out and lay them all over the place. I mean, and obviously keep track of everything too. There's going to be a screen, and that's like one giant piece of cardboard with the screen taped onto it. A bag of parts, though it's the small bag. There's the shiny silver bag that has the Raspberry Pi in it. There's probably an Ethernet cable. There'll be two different wall wart power supplies, one with a barrel jack, one with a micro USB. A little pile of wires you just saw me pull out, and then finally there was that TRS cable you'll use. The thing in the yellow thing in the bag is a wire stripper cutter. There'll be another box of hookup wires, and then two little breadboards, a screwdriver you just saw me put out, and then some of you will get the remote control for the monitor. I don't really advise you using the remote control for the monitor, but it's going to be there. Oh, and then a newspaper for packing purposes, but it's also an MIT newspaper, so it's kind of cool to look at. Just reposition the camera. Alright, so everything's all laid out in front of you right now. And we're going to just basically put everything together. There's a wire kit right here. You can take it out of the packaging if it was in packaging. Put the breadboards off to the side. The Raspberry Pi is in that silver bag. This is your bag of parts. Keep it in there for right now. There's really no reason to take it out. This is your barrel jack power supply. This is for the monitor. Keep that in mind. This will be for the Raspberry Pi, this power supply, and this has a micro USB on it. So those of you who have Android phones, you'll know this charger. This is very common. This is what you'll use to run the Raspberry Pi. The wire strippers, you can take them out of the bag. We'll show how to use them later on. They're pretty self-explanatory, but if you've never used them before, it can be confusing. Okay, I'm just going through everything. All right. So if we take the Raspberry Pi out, you carefully do it. Keep the nice little bag. That's actually a static-free bag. That might be useful later on when you come back to campus and bring your project with you. So the Raspberry Pi, you lay it out like that. There's a micro SD card in the Raspberry Pi. That's actually its hard drive, and so be careful with that. Okay, it's got to be popped into the device. And unfortunately, we're using Raspberry Pi 2s, and the micro SD cards are spring-loaded, so it gets kind of annoying. So take the, there's three little black rectangles on your white breadboard like this. Remove them very delicately and put them somewhere safe. I would even recommend maybe opening up your wire case box and putting the dips in there. And the dip is dual inline package. We'll learn about those in the course. But put them in there maybe just for safekeeping. I'm going to keep them off to the side for right now. So once we have the Raspberry Pi laid out, the white thing is the breadboard. The blue thing on it is the connector from the Raspberry Pi to the breadboard. You'll be messing with that in Lab 2. Right now I'm just going to get a keyboard and mouse in this video so that I can show you how to hook that up. And the Raspberry Pi is pretty amazing, right? This thing is like a $35 computer, and we're not even using the most up-to-date ones. And it's crazy. It's got 4 USBs on it, an internet connection, I believe it's a 900 megahertz processor, which is, makes me want to cry a little bit, because when I was a kid, like, the expensive family computer was like 90 megahertz, like, not even, nothing compared to this. Alright, so now I have a keyboard and a mouse, and depending on what you needed, you may be using your own keyboard or mouse. You may have already gotten a keyboard in the mail, you may have gotten a mouse, whatever. So if they're a mouse, plug them both in, mouse and keyboard. Use the, any USBs you want. And then there's finally another USB right there if you maybe have a Wi-Fi dongle, plug it in. So there are 4 ports. You can use them as needed. If you're hooking this up to the actual wall Ethernet, I'm just going to move the mouse and keyboard. If you're hooking it up to the actual wall Ethernet, there is an Ethernet port. You just plug it in there. It goes in like an old style Ethernet cable, clicks, great, and then that would go and be attached wherever. Just move some stuff. Alright, right now I'm going to set up the monitor. So there's the 12 volt wall wart power supply, and that has a barrel jack in it. So the plug on it is like a round cylinder thing. That's how you'll know which one it is. The monitor should already have the HDMI cable on it. If you are using your own monitor, feel free to delicately pull the HDMI cable off of the included monitor, and then you can use that to plug into it. So the monitor, hook up the HDMI, and then you can power it on, and you'll see that the screen just went blue, so that's good. I'm going to just move that a little bit right now. And if the Raspberry Pi is not on at the moment in this video, so there's actually going to be nothing coming up on the screen after a moment. Now there's different ways to mount the screen if you're using the miniature screen. Of course I didn't film this properly, but you can sort of, some people last year shoved it into the box. Other people actually, damn, I didn't, well, whatever. Okay, slightly off screen you can see actually would be how the monitor looks. I'm going to go correct this in a minute because I'm actually narrating this after I filmed it. But you can actually, like some people taped the monitor onto the shipping box. That actually proved to be pretty useful. I'm using gaff tape, which is like, if any of you are theater nerds, you would know what that is. But I mean electrical tape, duct tape, anything you got floating around, even Scotch tape. Okay, there we go. So you can see it's all a little bit mounted nicer now. And this is a nice little cheap like rig, right? These monitors cost like 40 bucks. So I mean, if you're using them, I know they're small and they're a little bit annoying, but because we are sort of on a budget, you know, this was the right thing to purchase. But anyway, so you got your whole rig right here. Ethernet's going somewhere, or let's pretend it's going somewhere. The next thing is, so the monitor's powered on, remember? Now we're going to actually power the Raspberry Pi. Everything has been hooked up, okay? Like the mouse and the keyboard and the internet. So we're going to, what I recommend is first plug in the plug to the wall, or wherever you're going, and then the micro USB plugs in the back right side of the Raspberry Pi. Okay, and as soon as you do that, you can actually see, if you squint, a little red and green light came on. So the red one's always on. That's a power indicator. The green light will flash a lot, and that's sort of the activity indicator. And so we can see the Raspberry Pi was starting up on the screen, just going in there. So red light's on. This is what the Pi looks like up close. Yours should look like this. And it's actually, you know, coming on, setting up, which is pretty neat. Give it, you know, and it's a computer, and it's not the fastest of computers, so it's going to take maybe 35, 45 seconds, a minute to start up, because I do actually have some background code setting up too as well, so it adds a little bit to the startup time. Okay, so it's starting up. You can see the little raspberries in the top left corner. Fantastic. We live in amazing times. Look how cool this monitor is. Okay, then it's up, and it's awesome. And if you look, there's actually like a little mouse cursor. This is a honest-to-God computer, right? So if I move the mouse is moving. Oh my gosh. If I go and click, you know, amazing. Now this is, you know, it's not Windows, it's not Mac OS. This is a Linux operating system. In particular, it's known as Raspbian, which is a flavor of Debian. But look, you know, keyboard, look, and stuff appears. Okay, great. All right, so if you get to this point and you're able to do everything in the video, you're all set.